Hi everybody, this is Lindsay from windingroadcrochet.com, and today I'm going to demonstrate for you how to do the corner to corner crochet stitch. This is one of a 4-part series on the corner to corner crochet stitch. It will actually end up having lots more videos because there's a lot to cover with this stitch, but we're just covering the basics right now, and today I'm going to show you how to simply increase with the corner to corner crochet stitch. So here is an example of a piece of cloth made in the C2C Stitch, or the corner to corner crochet stitch. The corner to corner crochet stitch is started in the corner and worked at a diagonal. It has a really pretty texture to it. The stitch is made by making these little squares and stacking them on top of each other in a diagonal form. And since it's made of these little squares, a lot of people like to change the color each square and use a graph in order to make a graphkin. Here's a picture of a chart that I have made for using a graphkin, and here's a picture of a final project that is a wall hanging. So this is just a little bit of what you can do with this stitch. Now if you've watched any of my videos before, you will know I am a huge fan of using graphs in my videos. I do try to zoom in and make sure it's really clear what I'm doing when I crochet, but in order to make it even clearer, you're going to see a graph up in the corner that's going to slowly evolve as we add stitches to our work. It's going to add stitches to the graph to really try to make it clear what we're doing. If you like how I do this tutorial, please let me know in the comments below and I will continue doing it this way. Also, make sure you subscribe so you can see all my other tutorials. I do both stitch tutorials on YouTube as well as full pattern tutorials. You can also find all my free crochet patterns on my blog at windingroadcrochet.com. So to start this stitch, we are going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's our chain 6. And then we are going to turn our work, and the first 3 that we chained is going to act as our foundation chain here, and then the second 3 is going to act as our turning chain. So that is going to come up this way. So we are going to start double crocheting into the 4th, 5th, and 6th chain from our hook. So our first double crochet, and we are working into the chains here. Second double crochet, and then our third double crochet, working into those 3 chain that we've left as our foundation chain. So that is our very first square. It is going to be the corner square of our work, and then we will start working up in a diagonal. So our second row will have 2 squares, our third row will have 3 and 4 and so on. So to add another square to our piece of work, once again we are going to chain 6. Anytime you chain 6 at the beginning of the row, it will be an increase. There's our 6th chain. We're going to turn our work, and once again you're going to see how the first 3 that we chained are going to act as part of the foundation chain, and then the next 3 are going to act as our turning chain. So again, we will go ahead and we do 3 double crochet into the 4th, 5th, and 6th chain from our hook. So that is our third double crochet. And then to get this square to stay in place, we are going to slip stitch around the turning chain from the previous row. So this turning chain right here on the side of our first square, we're going to go through that or around that turning chain, and then we're going to slip stitch, and that's going to hold our second square in place next to our first square of our first row. Then to get height for our next square, we are going to chain up 3, and this is going to be a new turning chain. Even though we're not technically turning right now, we're going to refer to it as a turning chain because we will be working around that later. And then here we're going to do 3 double crochet again, but we are working around that turning chain. You are not working into the turning chain, but instead you're working around the turning chain. And really, this is what makes this stitch work up so fast, because you don't have to worry about working into individual stitches. You're just working around turning chains. So we have one square in our first row and then 2 squares into our second row. Now we are going to go ahead and make our third row. So to start our third row, we're going to add another square, and in order to do that, we'll chain up 6 once again. And then we will go ahead and turn our work. And just like the 2 previous rows, the first 3 chain is our foundation chain. The second 3 chain that we made is our turning chain. So we are going to double crochet into the 4th, 5th, and 6th chain from the hook. So that's into the 4th chain from the hook. This will be into the 5th chain from the hook, and then to the 6th chain from the hook. And so another thing you'll notice is on row 1 we only had 1 square, row 2 we had 2 squares, and in row 3 we'll make 3 squares. So now to attach this row and this square in place, we are going to make a slip stitch around that turning chain. And that slip stitch will hold this next row in place. So real quick, we're going to take a look at what we're doing. At the beginning of each row, we are adding an additional square, which is allowing us to move out in one direction and up in the other. And we are going to continue doing this in order to make a larger, right now it's just making a triangle, but if you're making a square, you're going to need to make a larger square by continuing to increase. So now, to make our next square, that middle square, we are going to chain up 3, and then we will work 3 double crochet into that turning chain. And I really like doing this. It almost feels like we're working up steps. It just makes it a little more interesting than working left and right with a regular stitch. So now we'll work into the next turning chain to make a slip stitch and hold this middle square in place. We'll chain up 3 to continue moving up in that direction. And once again, work another 3 double crochet into the turning chain. So this completes our third row. We have 3 squares for the third row. I am going to go ahead and do a 4th row, and you'll see how this will continue increasing in size. But while I do this 4th row, I am going to give you a little less direction. I'm going to work a little bit quicker. But I did just want to let you see what it looks like working the next row. So to increase with another square, at the beginning of the row, we're going to chain 6 once again. We're going to work the 3 double crochet, 1 into each of the 4th, 5th, and 6th chain from the hook. I have the chart up showing you the completed row 4. Alright, we will slip stitch to the next turning chain. Chain up 3 to make our next square. Put 3 double crochet around the turning chain from the previous row. Slip stitch to the next turning chain. Chain up 3. 3 double crochet into that same turning chain that you slip stitched to. Slip stitch to the next turning chain from the previous row. Chain up 3, and then 3 double crochet into that turning chain. And there you have it. There's your 4th row, and there are 4 squares in the 4th row. And then you will keep repeating that technique to make this swatch larger. So if I wanted to make row 5, I would go ahead and chain 6 again, turn, and then work into my chain, and then start working each square until I get all the way to the top, and then do 6 and go back and forth and back and forth. So once you learn the repeat, you can go ahead and make this as small or as large as you want. So right now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and go to the next video and learn how to decrease and make a small little square. Or I have 2 practice patterns that you could make up that only require using the corner to corner increase so that you can practice this technique. You can find links to these practice patterns in the description box below. I really hope you enjoyed the first part of these tutorials, and make sure if you did that you like below, comment and let me know what you thought of how I do my tutorials, and definitely make sure you subscribe so that you can see more of my tutorials in your feed. Until next time.